All right, everybody. Rob Coldwell, Living Well with Rent Well. I'm here with Bryan Driscoll today, and this is going to be a fun conversation for us all because Bryan's been in the game for over a decade now. He lives in the Pittsburgh area, and he is not only a seasoned real estate investor, but he also has a business vertical built around real estate investing, which helps to identify off-market properties, distressed owners, and sell those leads to you all who are always looking for your next deal. So, Bryan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. I'm really looking forward to diving into this today. So, bring us up to speed. Like, how did you get into this game, and what was your first deal?
All right, so I got into this. I got into it, and then I failed, and I got back into it, right? So back in like 98, my dad took me to a seminar. I don't know if you ever heard of Ron LeGrand.
I sure have.
So sitting in Green Tree in Pittsburgh in the room, and at the end comes up, hey, $1,800, go to the back of the room, buy the course, right? I'm 18 years old, so I don't have $1,800 laying around, so I put it on a credit card, and got his green binder, CDs with everything. I went and put the ads in the newspaper, the We Buy Houses with my phone number. Got a lot of people calling me wanting to sell their house, and I didn't know what to do with it. So wasted some money, wasted some time there, and it didn't work out at that point, right? So then years later, I got back into real estate. I found a property on Craigslist, and it was a wholesaler. So I found a property on Craigslist. Wholesaler, I know the game. I already know how it works. I haven't done any deals yet. I buy this property. I buy it cash. Going to try the Burr method, and I didn't really look through it with a contractor. The place was hammered. Like it rained in the basement when you turned on the bathtub. So I go in. I bought it right though, so I still made out. But that was my first deal. I got it in Bethel Park, which is where I live. I think I paid like 33 grand for it. Ended up putting in like 40. But yeah, I did all right, and that's what got me into it. And I still own it today. I've never sold a property, and I just buy them and hold them.
Amen to that, dude. I can relate to never selling a property. It's pretty uncommon. Now, I also think that there could be some limiting beliefs around why we keep certain properties.
Possibly,
right? Like when I was buying my first few, I was like, oh, that's going to be a college fund. And then I was like, well, I think like subconsciously it was like, I can't sell that because it's a college fund. Now, meanwhile, I've refinanced it like 4 or 5 times since then and bought other stuff. So it's like, it doesn't really work as a college fund because it's all leveraged up.
It's funny you bring that up. My first 3 properties, I was buying houses because I have 3 sons. I'm like, okay, that's their college. That's their college. That's their college, you know?
It's like the mindset that you get in. And now what I'm working on is with some financial advisors and some really good agency debt providers to look at my leverage points on some properties, the debt, the taxes, the insurance, and then how much of my time does it require and what does the runway look like and all that. Because I could see a reason to sell 1031 and get into a larger asset. So that was, I love that. So you're in the seminar with Ron LeGrand. And your dad, you said your dad brought you there.
Yeah, my dad took me.
Awesome. And now you did it. And then you did it.
Right.
And then you newspaper ads back then. You get some phone calls and it's like, well, oh shoot, what do I do?
Right.
When did you buy the first property?
I bought the first property probably 11 years ago, give or take.
And now just to give that juxtaposition for the listeners, what are you working on now? What does this portfolio look like? What types of deals are you after?
So now I don't own a ton of properties. I have like 25 properties, right? I only invest in one zip code. So I invest in like a 2 mile square radius because I don't want to drive far. Now what I'm looking at though is buying single family houses. Like around our neighborhood, you get them for like 100, 150 if they're hammered. Put like 50 into them and then you make a lot of equity. I'm starting to look at now buying bigger things because it's like I can take the same effort, a little bit more effort, extra money, and get bigger properties for almost the same effort on my side. So I'm looking at scaling up there now versus just dealing with buying another single, gutting it, doing all that stuff, and just renting it back out for $1,500 to $2,000 a month. I'd rather get something with an extra 0 or 2 on it.
Yes.
And it's going to provide that on the back end.
Yeah, makes sense. So the average deal in your market, what does it look like? What were price points 11 years ago on purchase and rehab? And what does it look like today?
11 years ago, I'd say Pittsburgh is fairly steady. So it goes up slowly and it goes down slowly versus a lot of places in the U.S. Say a house, the median market probably 10 years ago is probably 250. Now it's probably 350 for a decent house.
ARV for
Yeah, ARV.
ARV
So
at 250 was 250. Now we're at 350.
right, yeah, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at deals like, for example, here's a deal I just did last year. It's $100,000. Picked it up for. I put 35 into it, and it appraised at 230.
Okay.
So there's decent margins there. It was a hoarder house, ugly house, beat up, but you put some money into it, and then you're pushing money to the future in the equity side.
What year was that house built?
About 1955.
Okay. So like wiring was pretty good, or are you like what are you getting done for 30?
Dude, the wiring in this place. I don't know if you've ever seen it. So this place was weird. It had wiring. It was low voltage wiring through the whole house. Like you could control every single light from the bedroom. It was crazy. I've never seen it before in my life. We had to completely strip all the wiring out and rewire the whole house.
So if you're doing a renovation for 35 grand, you must have some amazing relationships with vendors.
Yeah, I have pretty good contacts.
Okay. I think that's one of the advantages of being in the game for a while. Like you and then if you have the same vendor year after year, I feel like the prices stay more steady than when you're the new guy coming in and they're a vendor, which means they're a contractor. So they're trading their time for money. Like if they don't work, they don't get paid. So then I feel like the prices go up when you're the new guy coming in because they're basically saying like, if they're good, their time is fixed. Like for me, my cost right now to do a 1,500 square foot house, it's going to cost me every bit of 10 G's just to rewire that place.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Got it.
Yeah. And it is relationships. Here's an example too. At my personal residence, I got a guy who does concrete. I was getting a couple estimates, right? I was getting usually 3 estimates until I know a guy and then they're just my guy, right?
Yes.
But I was doing concrete and a porch. Contractor comes in, the guys I know, 15,000 for concrete, 15,000 for porch, roughly, right? I get some new guy came in $35K just for the porch.
Yeah.
It's like, so like, especially people new into business, like
right.
Get the quotes out there, network, talk to investors and find out like who's legit and who's just pounding you for $70,000 kitchens.
That's right. All right, great. So I love the humbleness because there's very few people in the world that own 25 properties. Okay. And especially that own 25 properties, diamonds in their own backyard in one zip code. Because at a certain point, those that are buying those, from what I understand, they buy them, they call them tickets. It's like just a roll, man. Like how many houses you got in that one zip code? What's the average age? What have you done on? What's the rent like? And they'll buy 25, 50, 100, 200, 1,000 at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a vision for what this could look like in the future? Or are you more like just for today, if I get a good deal, I'll buy it. If not, how are you working on any sort of a strategic plan? What does it look like for you?
So what I look at it with real estate is I'm pushing money to the future, right? So like even back in the day, I was like buying stuff at flea market, selling on eBay. Like I was like buying junk and making it nice and making a profit on it.
Right.
So I look at it as currently what I was looking at it was like in the past, I want to buy properties in my backyard because I don't want to drive far. And I like taking junky things, making them nice. And I'm pushing like 70 grand, $100,000 to the future. So I'm building net worth like within 2 months. Like we turned a property around in like 60 days.
Right.
So I'm looking at, okay, I'm building wealth there. But now I'm looking at, okay, the goal now is to supercharge that.
Okay.
Just because it's so slow. It's if I'm only buying in one zip code, even though I specialize in like getting leads in one zip code is hard. I can get them all over Pittsburgh, but I don't want them. I just want one area. So if you want to scale, you need to either deal with bigger properties or bigger areas to get more houses,
Do you think for the strategy of, I'm assuming you were talking about small multifamily.
Yeah, small. Yeah, small to mid.
Do you feel like you're going to do that in the same zip code, or for that, will you expand?
I think I'll have to expand because there's not many multis where I live.
Right. And the thing is with the multis, you can just drive around. They cannot hide.
Right.
They can't hide. They're just there. You can see the meters. You can see, some of them are clearly built as apartment buildings, purpose-built stuff. A lot of that from like the 1970s on. And then the stuff before that, still some big buildings. And then others are the houses that have been converted into those.
Right.
But I would say, because that's my niche, that's where RW Investments lives. We do those big league burrs on those, 5 to 50 doors. And there's a big difference between the ones that were purpose built as an apartment and that were, a converted mansion or school or, whatever.
Right.
So we could go in a number of different ways for this podcast, but what I'd love to hone in on is how you help investors find good assets to buy. It seems like it's most people's biggest challenge is just to find the right asset. Because what I found is most of the time, once a property is listed with a real estate agent, it's either goes too quickly, it's sourced to too many people that are willing to overpay for the asset. And then there's the whole commission structure. And for me, sure, I buy there. I get the MLS feeds every day, 4 to 6 different feeds. What does your business model look like around helping investors find properties?
Yeah, so we do it a little different. I don't personally like buying on the MLS. You're right, because once it hits the MLS, usually the deal is done. There's a bunch of people out there, especially in Pittsburgh and most markets, inventory is low. So people are overpaying for properties, which is insane in this market. So what we do is I like to target direct to seller. Like I want to deal with, okay, you just inherited a home or you have a hoarder house. You don't want to clean it out or can't afford to fix it. I'll buy it. I'll make it convenient for you. In exchange, I'm not giving you top dollar because it needs a bunch of work. So we find those types of people through online, like Facebook, Google, just digitally. We put ads out, people click them, want to sell their house, and we go through them and try to find the people that are truly motivated.
Right. And how far do you take it in that sales cycle until you're somebody like me who's like, hey, Ryan, here's a zip code that I'm really interested in. And this is like, walk me through. I'm a potential client. Like, I'm interested in a certain zip code, Coatesville, Pennsylvania.
All right. So here's how it works. We can't target based on zip code anymore due to discrimination. Facebook and Google pulled that back about 2 years ago. So we target on county. So say
county
Rob,
level.
Yeah, county level. So you're like, hey, you know what? I need some leads. So what I would do is we'd put a campaign together for you in that area. And we do it on a pay per lead basis. We used to do it where it's like, hey, Rob, you pay me $1,500 a month and I'm going to run your campaigns for you. A lot of investors told me, they're like, I don't want to pay a monthly fee because I don't know what my outcome is going to be. So we switched our model where it's like, hey, Rob, I'm going to send you leads and you're going to pay me per lead. If I don't send any leads, you don't pay me. If I do, you pay me per lead. Average lead's like $300, right? So we send you leads. And it's not like we have a silver bullet here. It's like out of 10 leads, 6 are going to want too much money. They're not going to be a fit, whatever. Like if you're novating or you're an agent, you might be able to do something with them. But 6 out of 10, you can't do anything with. 4 out of 10 are usually deals you would want, and you usually lock down 1 out of those 10. So it's like a $3 to $4 grand acquisition cost.
Okay. Yeah, and that's what you're finding on a national level.
Yep. Yeah, the guys I see do really well. It depends on people's sales skills and processes. Guys that do deals, like I don't really work with newer investors, but guys with good processes are like 1 out of 10 to 1 out of 15 close rate.
Yeah, that's great. I do right now because I'm targeting those small multifamilies. I do, and there's not many of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I do direct mail, and I do one with my photo, a call rail number, my business partner's photo. Like, hey, you're dealing with Rob and TJ. We always put up a photo of a building that we just bought in that area because these are iconic type properties. Usually, like people know them because for every 1 10-unit apartment building, there's probably 1,000 houses, maybe even more. Anyway, I'm digressing a bit, but
I'm getting on your mailers that you do you have a website also?
So you know what? I have more my management company's website. Mm-hmm. I don't have like a landing page type website on the investment side. Is that something you'd recommend?
Yeah, here, I'll give you a tip. So investors I work with that do multi, I don't specialize in finding multi-homes, right? But I work with a lot of investors. So you're sending a mailer. Most people are going to Google you before they call you because they want to know, okay, are you legit? Like 76% of people are going to Google you and go to your website before doing business with you for credibility, right? But if you're spending, depending on how many mailers you're sending, if you're sending some, and if they have your website on there, What happens is people go look on your website, and there's something called a Facebook pixel. And what we do is, in your case, you need to build credibility. Like
Yep.
they saw the mailer, they don't know who you are. They now came to your website. What we do is we put ads in front of them on Facebook, similar to like when you're looking at shoes and then now you see shoes.
Yes.
They come to your website. Now they're going to see an ad of you. Hey, you know what? My name's Rob. I buy multis in your area. Here's one we just purchased. And you put a
Got it.
video and then show them that for like 20 days. Then after that, take a testimonial of a past person video and show them that as an ad. So while these people are thinking about it, because they're not just calling you and being like, hey, we're closing next week. It's a process. You can use it online to help build your credibility up. You know what I mean?
Love that. My ratios are like about 500 mailers is 2 phone calls, 1 settlement, and I've been comfortable with that up to this point. But I feel like you're absolutely right, because if they're calling, I'm not the only one mailing,
right?
And many times it's like, oh, the mailer was larger and it was color and your face was on there. That's exactly right. Like, they're not calling everybody who mails them. They don't have the energy for that. They're usually in a position where they're just kind of done, just near the end. And you got a little narrow window before they're maybe gonna call a commercial broker. So thank you for that tip, Bryan.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Yeah. So across the country, you'll sell leads, and you're doing the marketing spend.
Mm-hmm.
And is there any vetting of the leads, or does the marketing itself kind of try to vet the leads so you don't just get somebody who's, you said like those 6 out of 10, they might be motivated, but they're not very realistic on the price of their
right. So what I do on the digital side, we use the marketing to vet them. So, and even if anyone's running their own ads, here's some tips for you if you're trying to get single family houses, right? Like, I found, be really direct with your messaging. If you're looking for beat up houses, put a picture of a beat up house in the ad. Say, sell your house fast. We're cash home buyers. Don't put things in there like find out how much your house is worth. You'll get a bunch of leads. They're no good, right? Yes. So what we do is, you have a direct ad. They click it, send them to your website that also says the same thing. Hey, we're investors. We're not paying top dollar. We can pay cash, make it real convenient for you. And then you want to capture their info. So you ask like name, phone number, email, address. That's where a lot of people stop. What I like to do is then send them to a second form saying, hey, why do you want to sell? How fast do you want to sell? How much work does your property need? Confirm it's not listed or you're working with an agent. Ask them like 10 more questions. That's where I consider them a lead.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's like you're getting them pretty far down.
Right.
And then what is the process for somebody who then, like, what is best in class for your investors that are buying 1 out of those 10 and their acquisition cost is $3,000 to $4,000, which is incredibly, if you can't make money paying $3,000 to $4,000 for a deal, like, it's not really a deal, right? Like, something's wrong. Something's broken. So then that's your model, and I'll play it back. So it was the ad, and then the ad goes to the website with basic information, and then it's like, here's some more information that you're getting, and now you have a lead.
Right.
What does somebody on the other end, what does best in class look like for picking up that lead?
So here's what the guys that I know crushing it do. Number one, speed's very important, right?
Okay.
So when a lead comes in online, you need to get in front. You need to drop what you're doing, have your acquisitions guys drop what they're doing, and call immediately. Or even on your own website, if somebody calls you, answer the phone. Like, so many guys send them to voicemail or this and that. It's like, answer the phone, because the people that are extremely motivated they don't care who they sell to. They're just looking for somebody local that looks reputable, right? The other people need sold and credibility, things like that. But that 1 out of 10, they don't. They're just looking. They just want to get rid of their property. So, and speed is so important. And one thing is like the chances of somebody answering after 5 minutes decreases substantially, because what happens is, if you think about online, so think about Google ads, for example. In Google, when you search sell my house fast in whatever city, there's going to be 3 ads at the top. A lot of people will click the first one, fill that out. They click the second one, fill it out, and then click the third one and fill it out. So
Okay.
now it's whoever the first person is to get them will get the deal.
Got it.
Now, another thing they do too, at 3 a.m. when somebody does that, and what I like to do is we send a text message also immediately saying, hey, thanks for filling out a form on our site. Here's a link to our calendar to book an appointment for us to come give you an offer.
Okay.
So, and I ask those same 10 questions in the calendar as well to vet them. I want to see their motivation. But primarily what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to pull them away from Google. I don't want them filling out those other websites, booking that appointment with us so that they're kind of calm now. Okay, I found what I'm looking for now. And it kind of cuts the competition out.
Got it. Love that. There's a software out there for property managers. It's called Lead Simple. And that is what the software would do if you had it set up properly. So you'd buy leads for property management, landlord leads. And then if you had the software set up, your phone, as the lead was sent and Lead Simple got it, your phone would ring. And then if you stayed on the phone with them for 20 or 30 minutes, they would have a few other calls usually, right? Because you're buying it from one lead source, but there's 5 other companies that are being contacted, kind of like an Angie's List or right, what have you. So what would be a good resource? Will you coach? And like for your business model right now, what level of volume are you vetting people? Because I would think that you wouldn't want to set up you're not. let me be clear on my on my question. If you can market by county and you have a client, you're marketing on behalf of that client, or you're not marketing to all the counties in the country. Like how? Yeah. Like I'm sure you'll accept leads from everywhere, but do you have all of your campaigns set up on the county level based upon your current active clients?
Yeah, so here's how it works. Number one, we don't market. We used to market on the custom for the client under their brand. Now we market under, it's kind of a generic brand, like something like USA Cash Offer, Fast Home Buyer, things like that.
Yes.
And I market primarily in all the major metros in the United States.
Okay.
So we're marketing, we have clients in almost every major metro. We have multiples in those areas. Our leads are also exclusive too. So we're not like Angie's List and things. We sell it to one investor only.
Got it.
But yeah, we market in all the areas. And what happens is we generate a lead. It comes into our system, and in real time, it shoots out to whoever the investor is that's the top bid in that area.
Okay. Yeah. I love it. Now, how long have you been offering the service?
We've been doing digital marketing in the space for about 3. We launched Pay Per Lead about 14 months ago.
Okay. And those results are one in 10 you're tracking it becomes an acquisition for the client.
Yeah, about 1 in 10. Yeah, we're generating a lot of leads too. We have a lot of data. We probably pull like 10,000 leads a month.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Well, I think we could have a whole episode on behind the scenes of what all that looks like. But I mean, it's like, I swear, there's a local wholesaler here. And I think he's the brainchild of like Albert Einstein, because it's almost like a statistics class that I was sitting in when I'm watching his presentation. And then just the numbers and the percentages and quite impressive to build it out at that level and to keep the quality and use the metrics and the data to get to the quality.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the day, it's only as good as the other person who's able to get on the phone, have that phone call, figure it out. Another one who's like he's branded as the Novation guy. He likes the in-person meetings. Like if he's on the phone with somebody, he's trying to get there. He's trying to get to that house.
Right.
What do you recommend? So that was first step you said was speed. Then what happens? What's best in class, Bryan?
It's funny you bring that up, because I have most of our clients are belly to belly, right? And those are the guys that are 1 out of 10, 1 out of 15. Some guys are virtual. Their closing rates will drop a little bit. They're like 1 out of 15 to 1 out of 22.
Okay.
Right. Just because they're virtual, but there's pros and cons to both. Local, you're spending a lot of time, you're driving to the people, but you're building those relationships. The virtual guys can bang out way more appointments on the phone. They're going to have a lower closing rate, but they can do a lot more too. And like, I know a guy, he does the whole East Coast of the United States. That's his market, right? Okay. Just doing virtual. And they don't care because they can do volume.
Right. So you belly to belly is going to be higher.
Yep.
Probably virtual's less, only when beat by belly to belly.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think so on that one. I mean, there's a couple reasons. Like relationships are harder to build on the phone than if you're face to face, right?
Sure.
So,
sure. All right. Well, I mean, anything after that? I mean, it's speed, and then it's going to either be virtual or face to face.
Yeah, and if you're deciding between virtual and face to face, test them both, and you just got to look at your KPIs.
Yes.
Because like one guy might crush it in a virtual or not belly to belly, or the other way around. It's like just run your KPIs. The numbers are going to tell you.
Right. So for your business model, and you're buying in this one zip code, and you have the software company built out to get the leads. What does the infrastructure look like for somebody like yourself? Are you able to do it? Like, are you getting that lead for your zip code, and you want to be the one on the phone and then doing the belly to belly?
I'm the guy. If it comes in my zip code, I'm picking up that phone. I'm probably going to be there in 20 minutes. Like, I want to be there before everybody else.
I totally get the whole like delegate and elevate up, and if you can't automate it and this and that and the other thing, like, dude, I'm not trusting anybody else getting that phone call than me. And it's a certain energy that's going to be over the phone that I'm going to have when I bought the house or the building 6 streets over.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, yeah, I'll be right there. I'm actually was going to be in the area tomorrow. Like, what do you?
Right. And that's the most crucial part. Like I talked to some investors. They're like, yeah, I got my lead managers from the Philippines. I'm like, dude, that specific, and I get outsourcing and delegating just like you're saying, but that is the crucial point of the sale. Like that's the first introduction. You want to have someone that can talk on the phone and like build that relationship.
I had an assistant for a little while, about a year. And she was local, really bright individual. And the difference of how an appointment would get set up versus a local human that understood my schedule, the other person's schedule and all that, versus somebody in halfway around the world in a different time zone, night and day. Now, you pay a factor of, I don't know, 10 times to go local and all that. But when it's those really important conversations, I would agree with you. Like especially if you're not trying, I could see the guy on the East Coast, right? But that's the volume game. So I think most of the listeners are going to be on the more local game. Can you? We're going to put in the show notes. But what's the website that people, Bryan, would go to learn to find out more about?
Sure. It's motivatedleads.com.
Boom. All right. So now we're going to go into like the later part of the episode. And you mentioned when I said, hey, Bryan, we talk about what does it look like to be healthy to you, or levels of contribution. Is it prayer? Is it meditation? Is it exercise? And you gave a statistic on the amount of weight that you've shed in less. I think you might have said, I don't know.
Yeah, 57 pounds. 57.
57 pounds. Talk to us, man.
Yeah. So here's how it worked. Last year, January, I took the family to Disney World, right? And we go back, and I get back, and I see a picture that we took in front of the Magic Kingdom. I'm like, man, am I freaking fat? So I'm like, I got to do something there. So coincidentally, one of my buddies, he owns a title company in PA. His name's Ryan Fisher. He owns PV Settlement, right? I see his picture on Facebook, and he lost 90 pounds and competed in a bodybuilding competition. Wow. I'm like, Ryan, what'd you do? He's like, well, I hired Stacy. I'm like, who's Stacy? And so there's this lady in Pittsburgh. She trains bodybuilders, right? So I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder, but I'm like, so I go meet her. I'm like, hey, Stacy, what do I got to do? I'm trying to get in shape. So she put me on this diet. It's all natural, like doing the macros, exercise, cardio, things like that. And over a 12-month period, I lost like 57 pounds. Like it sucked. It's a lot of work, things like that. Yeah. But it taught me, I think I always misunderstood what eating healthy was. Like it was just how I was brought up. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to start eating healthy, and I'm not eating healthy still. But yeah, I dropped like 57 pounds. I'm down to like my high school weight. So yeah, that was it took me 12 months. It probably would have taken 7 or 8 if I wasn't a knucklehead. Cause I'd go and like diet for like 6 days, and then I'm eating a pizza or something, you know? So It took me a little longer, I think.
And now what does the sustainability look like for you?
So sustainability now. So that's a good question too, because I was cutting weight, which you can't sustain eating like that. So now, and I set a goal, like I set really big goals for myself when I do stuff. So I'm like, okay, I hit the goal. What's next? Right. And
So
then
the
you're
goal
like,
was it was the goal 50 pounds?
no, the goal was to get a 6-pack.
Okay. So it was got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm looking halfway through. I'm like, why would I set this goal? Like I'm 237 pounds, 5'8". Who sets a goal of a 6-pack? Like that's insane. So, but then I hit the goal and I'm like, okay, what do I do now? And my buddy told me, he's like, dude, you got to plan after you hit your goal because you're not going to know what to do. So I floundered a little bit, but I just hired a dietitian in Pittsburgh to help me like craft like normal meals,
Yes.
not just eating egg whites and chicken.
Yes.
So now I'm doing things like making like oatmeal in the morning. It's got egg whites in it and peanut butter and stuff like that, and crafting like things that you can live and be healthy. So it's like constant learning for me. But I feel great exercising. Like I never like cardio. Now I'm going jogging every day. I actually enjoy doing it. Clears your head, things like that. So it's the whole transformation.
Ah, that's wonderful. How has it been for the other areas of your life?
It's good. Like I always wake up kind of early, but I'm clearer. You know, when I eat better, my whole body and my thought process is better.
Yes. Oh, that's wonderful, my friend. How else are you finding that you take care of yourself?
I always make stuff like even with sleep. Like I know a lot of guys are like, oh, we got to go hustle and work 24 hours a day, things like that. Like I'm trying to find balance. So I wake up early. I wake up at like 4 a.m. So, but I go to bed early, and I find in the morning I'll read, do different things like that, and catch up on the day before anyone's talking to me. Because by 9 o'clock, my team's hitting me up all day. So one thing is I'll wake up early, get all my stuff done that I have pending, deal with the team till about 5. And what I'm starting to do now is at 5 o'clock, I'm just shutting my phone off. Because I have 3 kids and a wife. I'm not trying to, like I used to have to work 16-hour days, 18-hour days. Now I don't have to. But I think I'm addicted to work like most business owners are. Like you can't stop. So I'm like proactively trying to shut down and pay attention whenever I'm not working. You know what I mean?
That's great. Good for you, my friend. Well, I've really enjoyed all the knowledge that you've dropped on today's episode. And thank you for sharing your website. Thank you for sharing a little bit about your story. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the guests of the Living Well with Rent Well?
I think we covered it. I'd say if anyone's thinking about, I know most of the guys are seasoned, but the guys thinking about getting into real estate or even thinking about taking the next plunge, I always found get out of your head and just do it. Like that's one tip I can give people. I see everybody gets at different stages in their business in the headspace. It's like, just jump out of the airplane, build the chute on the way down.
Got it. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I love that. I'll give a plug for something that's coming up in the near future the more I pray on it, sleep on it, journal, and work on this, it's called a scope of work, where we're building out a call center that investors around the country will be able to have a scope of work specialist that has a very advanced but simple Google sheet. And those investors can then walk through the property and have somebody on the other end with the 3 monitors that's filling out the sheet as they're walking through. More challenging on a concrete rebuild and a new porch and things like that. But if you're redoing a house on interior electric, like we know what that should cost. And it's super important to know, like, how many circuits do you have? Like, what level are you planning to renovate the kitchen? A lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to spend this amount to renovate the kitchen. And I'm like, dude, you're like, that's old wiring. Like 1970 and earlier was not the same kitchen as you think you're going to have today with the overhead microwave and the dedicated circuits and the arc faults and all that kind of stuff. But I love that. I would absolutely agree with the sentiment. So I'm building out how to help them know what they can buy and what those renovations are going to cost. Because after they get the lead from you and they then meet with that person belly to belly, preferably, they need to be able to very quickly figure out what those renovations are going to cost.
Oh, and that's so crucial too. The money's made when you buy the deal, and if you give the wrong number, you're screwed.
You're screwed, or you overpay. I have one of my mentors. Rob, you can never pay too much. You can only buy too early. Okay, thank you. That makes me feel a little bit better because I've had plenty of those.
Mhm.
But I feel like that's what stops a lot. Like there's always like it's like the submarine. There's always going to be another chamber that you have to get to. And I don't feel like I've ever mastered some of these chambers because the landscape is always evolving, and it's almost like I'm always going to be learning. I'm always going to be growing. But if you can figure out the market, the asset class, if you can get the lead for the person motivated, if you can learn the skills and the sales tactics and the relationship building and structuring the right deal, then it really comes down to those renovations. And then it's a matter of, what are you going to do with it? Neither one of us have ever sold anything, which means we spend time leasing, managing, maintaining. And I know that you have a property manager out in Pittsburgh. I own a property management company, and that handles, I'm now the biggest client of that company. So the fruits of this reward for those that stick with it and give it at least a decade. I mean, for me, it's transformed my life.
I'm with you. So for me, it's like, from what I learned in us last year, I almost turned into rental properties into passive income now, because you learn the process. It's like, okay, I find a property, I go meet him, I lock it down, and I pass it to Nick. Nick's my guy. He just does it all. And then
Nick's the GC, or Nick is your property manager, or both, or what?
Both.
Okay.
So he's the GC, but he also works with I have two property managers here in Pittsburgh, but I'll pass it to him. He's the GC. Like 60 days later, I come back, it's done. And then it goes over and he passes it over, and then we're renting it out. Yeah. So it's like, I wasn't always able to do that. I had to get punched in the face many times by tenants. I realized that I'm too nice, and I let tenants talk me into renting to people that shouldn't be rented to. Sure. Then I get penalized. So it's like, okay, create that barrier. But yeah, real estate's huge. It allows you to build a massive wealth. Like I get houses for free. Like I'm literally doing the Burr method. So it's like I get houses and it doesn't cost me any money.
Yeah. Bryan, we're going to have you back on the show, man. We're going to go deeper when we go back on the show. We're going to talk about what the next phase is for you. Maybe you've bought one of those small multifamilies or medium-sized multifamilies by them. And I'd love to also help you with that, as that's becoming our niche. And I just thank you so much for being on the show. Congratulations on you on the transformation for your health. I'm grateful to get to know you here, and I think that that you offer tremendous value to all of our listeners and myself today.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. It was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Living Well with Rentwell. We hope you loved that episode.
Please be sure to head over to our website at rentwell.com/vision. We're giving away our free program called Vision Through Purposeful Action. If you're a busy person, if you struggle with finding the time and priorities, or if you're experiencing procrastination and overwhelm, this free course will help you with that.
We wish you a blessed day. Thank you for tuning in, and check in later.